mic working?
Yeah.
Just in case. Okay. Hello everyone. After I graduated with my doctorate from Yale University, I felt lost. I'll admit it, even after spending truly a lifetime in school, I still couldn't comprehend what my purpose was. I knew I wanted to research mental disorders. I mean, I would hope that I still liked my major. I just wasn't passionate about the research being done for depression or bipolar disorder. I wanted to jump into the unknown. That's when I saw a video about Kim Noble, and I knew this was a cause worth researching. As many of you know, Dissociative Identity Disorder, or DID, has been under constant debate if it's a valid disorder or a combination of others. Some say there's a lack of evidence or the person is simply faking it. Some of the myths surrounding DID are that the person just has imaginary friends, that it is an American phenomenon, or that DID is the same thing as schizophrenia. But all these myths have facts or research of DID to disagree or agree with. For example, the argument of DID being schizophrenia can be debunked due to schizophrenia is a spectrum of disorders characterized by delusions, hallucinations, paranoia, disorganized thoughts, speech and movements, catanoia, and social withdrawal. It does not involve alters and does not involve dissociation. Dissociative identity disorder is defined as the presence of two or more alternate personalities who routinely take control of the person's behavior. It can be accompanied by dissociative amnesia, which is described as an inability to recall important information that is too extensive to be explained by ordinary forgetfulness. They might hear voices that they do not at first understand or originating from their alters. I apologize for that. They might experience intruding emotions, sensation, thoughts, and urges that make no sense to them and do not feel like their own. They often find themselves doing or saying things that they didn't plan or to do or say, and they might sometimes feel that they're watching their body do things that they can neither predict or control. Going back to a previous topic discussed, here's a snippet of the interview made by Vice about Kim Noble and her dissociative identity disorder.
I'm Kim Noble and I'm an artist. I also have a dissociative identity disorder, which used to be the old multiple personality disorder. It's when other personalities will take over the body.
How are you?
It's caused from trauma and the personality dissociates. So for me, it's like sleepwalking. Somebody can say, oh, you've been, up painting, and I have no memory of doing it. I'm Patricia still, but I just accept being called Kim. I'm the main personality now, but before there was Bonnie was a main personality. So I would only probably be out 2 or 3 times, perhaps a week. At first there was only, I think, 4 or 5 of us painting. And as time's gone on, other personalities have decided to paint as well.
Dissociative identity disorder can come about when a child's psychological development is disrupted by an early repetitive trauma, which would prevent the normal processes of consolidating a core sense of identity. Reports of childhood trauma in people with dissociative identity disorder include burning, mutilation, and exploitation. Sexual abuse is routinely reported alongside emotional abuse and neglect. In response to overwhelming trauma, the child can develop multiple, often conflicting identities. These will usually mirror the radical contradictions in their early attachments in social and family environments. For instance, a parent who swings unpredictably between aggression and care can cause their personalities in that child to mirror that. There are multiple possible treatments for DID.
Why'd you change clothes?
No off-topic questions. Because I don't want to. No, permission denied. That's an off-topic questions. Next, you have been stopped.
The main component of treatment is psychotherapy, where the therapist will try and help clients improve their relationships with others and help them feel comfortable expressing their feelings. Hypnosis is another way of treating DID. It helps the client understand the information about their symptoms and their identity states and more. so they can better control their personalities and switches from one to the other. Another type of therapy recommended by the ISSTD is phase therapy. The first phase in this approach involves focusing on the safety, stabilization, and symptom reaction. The second is trauma processing. And the final stage helps the individual to adjust to coping with the world as a more integrated individual. The most common trauma-focused therapies are EMDR, prolonged exposure therapy, and cognitive behavior therapy. EMDR and PE therapy are both types of exposure therapy in which specific traumatic memories, themes, emotions, or cognitions are addressed. EMDR involves thinking or talking about the specific trauma material while making bilateral movements, watching bilateral blinking lights, or anything similar. PE therapy involves talking about the memory extensively with increasing detail until the individual is talking about it as if it's happening to them in real time. Both can get very intense but can be incredibly helpful if the individual is stable enough to handle them. Individuals with dissociative identity disorder are on an average in therapy for close to a decade before they get diagnosed, and then spend an additional decade in therapy for their DID. Despite this, proper treatment for DID is known to be effective. Comprehensive DID therapy is associated with reduced self-harm, fewer hospitalizations, fewer medications being needed, reduced symptoms of dissociation and PTSD, and higher functioning, increased engagement in productive and social activities, less overall distress, and an increased sense of well-being. Therefore, it's very, very important for individuals with any disorder to go to therapy, especially if you have DID.
I have something to say.
Oh, I actually have some notes on this too. Thanks, Greg. Now, while the terminology for dissociative identity disorder is fairly new, the concept of this disorder has quite a long history. Now, the first reported incidence of DID was dated all the way back in 1791, where a 20-year-old German woman began to speak fluent French, even though she never studied French. And she acted as if she was a French aristocrat, and she even spoke German with a French accent. Now, what is that? Now, of course, at this time, many people believed that this could have come from demonic possession, as dissociative identity disorder dates back to early reports of that. Then, much later in the 1970s, the diagnosis of DID increased dramatically after a book written by Florida Schrader called Sybil, Dissociative Identity Disorder, I'm not Sybil, was published. It is believed that in just the 70s, there were more reported incidents of DID than in 1816, and between 1991 and 1997, over 500 cases of DID were admitted into a single dissociative disorders treatment center in Dallas, Texas. Now that's just 6 years in one treatment center. For DID being such a rare disorder, this was truly shocking to research psychologists, including me. For a while, no one knew the true cause, which leads into the whole controversy of this disorder. Is this a valid disorder? I mean, there's no definite cause. There's so many factors that go into DID that it's confusing as to which one is the cause, if any. Now, most people say that childhood trauma is the cause of this disorder, but there's no definite proof that that's truly the sole cause. And if there's no link between the two, can these symptoms be explained by other disorders rather than just DID? Now, I found something incredibly interesting that might explain the cause of this disorder. Now, I, along with my colleagues, we conducted an experiment about correlations between amygdala and hippocampal volumes in dissociative identity disorder. Now, in this experiment, we used magnetic resonance imaging, or MRIs, to measure the volumes of the amygdala and hippocampus in 15 female patients with DID and 23 female patients without DID, or any disorder really. what we found was that the hippocampal volume was about 19.2% smaller than normal, and the amygdalar volume was about 31.6% smaller than normal. And obviously these were significantly different between the two groups. So why would, in the female patients, those 15 patients with DID, why would their hippocampus and amygdala be smaller than normal? Does that have something to do with DID? I don't know. Now, to conclude, the findings were very consistent with the sizes of these parts of the brain being smaller, so this is a possible cause of dissociative identity disorder. All in all, DID is still very unsolved at the moment. It could be caused by trauma, brain abnormalities, or maybe it's not even a valid disorder at all. Maybe, just maybe, these people are suffering with several disorders. Now, in conclusion, DID is more complex than what meets the eye. We can't neglect those who are suffering just because of the questions up for debate. I hope that today has changed your perspective in some way. It may have given you a new passion, just like my colleague.
Thank you for your kind words.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're my colleague.
I'm so glad.
I want to thank you all for coming out, and I hope you learned a little bit more about dissociative identity disorder, but this concludes our DET talk, and this is an idea worth spreading. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.